Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, March 20th, 2018. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Attorney Jomo Thomas has called on the state to respect a court order to pay his client Otto Sam monies which were awarded to him. Thomas described the state's refusal so far to abide by the court's ruling as an assault on Sam's personage, adding that it has turned Sam's livelihood into disarray. Speaking at a press conference today, the attorney for Sam said that they will be going to court to seek the more than $60,000 plus interest owed and other damages for the dismissal and illegal transfer of the former educator.
Clearly, in both the transfer of Mr. Sam and in the dismissal of Mr. Sam, this court has found that the state acted improperly, it acted irrationally, it acted illogically, and more fundamentally, it acted illegally. And both Master Glasgow and Justice Henry has gone ahead and make these findings and ask. There's nothing in our estimation that justifies the delay, because as Mr. Sam would indicate when he gets an opportunity to speak, the state's action has turned his life upside down. This is a man who had been teaching for more than 3 decades. This is a man who almost lost his home. This is a man who lost his health insurance, his benefits. It was a serious assault on his personhood, and the state has found that those actions were wrong. And if the court finds that these actions are wrong, then the state must pay.
Thomas said although some $30,000 in vindicatory damages have been awarded to Sam, the delay in payments justifies him being awarded more money by the state.
Now 8 years since Mr. Sam has been going through these difficulties, and he goes back to court on Thursday with the hope that he would do an assessment of whatever damage for unfair dismissal, questions of vindicatory award. You know, it is instructive that Master Glasgow thought that the state's action as it relates to Mr. Sam, his transfer, the illegal and illogical transfer, he thought it was so egregious that he awarded Mr. Sam $30,000 in vindicatory damages. $30,000. As the cases say, it is not a punishment of the state. That's what but it is to express society's outrage for the manner in which the state would have acted. And in this, that was the transfer case. In the assessment of damages, we are also asking, in addition for compensation for wrongful and unfair dismissal, we are also asking for another vindicatory award that would express society's displeasure with the manner in which Mr. Sam was dealt with.
Meanwhile, lawyer Zita Banwell says they have been doing their best to ensure that the state complies with the court order to no avail.
This matter, when we won it, the state had appealed it, the state lost that appeal, and then we went on to assessment. So that long road that Mr. Sam has traveled, and we're still waiting on a settlement, well, actually on the payment of that award. And as I said, the question that we ask all the time when we discuss this is what is keeping the state from making that payment from that first judgment. It's unbelievable. The point is that when Jomo read that the quotation for the Privy Council matter, it talks about the state's obligation. The state must show that it's a role model in terms of what it expects citizens to do.
Otto Sam says he was of the view that the delay in payment was similar to the offense of misbehavior in office and amounts to disrespect.
And then the court orders the state, and the state still acts with impunity. Absolutely, that is pretty scary. And in a modern society in which one speaks of freedom and good governance, one wonders if it's not misbehaving in public office. It's not just a violation of one's right, and as Ms. Manuel would have pointed out, that we have done everything. Attorneys would have done everything possible to have these matters settled, and it's just one been just treated a particular way.
As part of its effort to promote the importance of water conservation and storage, the Central Water and Sewerage Authority is currently hosting a week of activities in commemoration of World Water Day, which kicked off yesterday, March 19th, and will run until March 23rd. To this end, the series of events continued earlier today at the CWSA headquarters, where a symposium was held. Nikita Tony tells us more about today's event in this report.
Celebrated annually on March 22nd, World Water Day is being commemorated locally with a week of activities hosted by the Central Water and Sewerage Authority, CWSA, under the theme 2018 CWSA Year of Water Conservation and Storage. Forming part of the series of activities, a symposium was held earlier today at the CWSA's headquarters and saw a number of representatives from the public and private sectors engaging in discussions relating to the effects of climate change on SVG and how their entities can play a part in combating the global phenomena. In her remarks, Public Relations and Marketing Manager at the CWSA, Joan Ryan, outlined the significance of the day's proceedings.
Anything happens, the CWSA is affected. No one entity can get this information out to the general public about climate change and its effects on our country. Realize the importance of partners getting information out on climate change, even as it relates to their own portfolios.
General Manager of the CWSA, Gart Sanders, took the opportunity during his welcoming address to encourage the participants to engage themselves fully in the scheduled discussions.
We have to find ways to make this thing significant enough, to make this climate change and the effects significant enough to present our ministers, our permanent secretaries, so that when they go out, they go armed with information, armed with graphs, with tables, cold, hard facts. So I want us, at this session, during the day, to try to focus on how we can do that as an entity.
Today's event featured a number of presentations on the issue of climate change, one of which was done by Nyasha Hamilton, a representative of the Ministry of Sustainable Development, which is the ministry that deals with climate change. Giving an overview of how persons can conserve, combat, and cooperate against climate change, Hamilton highlighted the government's move to implement an appropriate mitigation action for the transport sector.
That is it's more or less a project proposal. So you go through, you do stakeholder, we've been doing stakeholder consultations. The end result of that would be a document that presents, it would be recommendations for how we would tackle the greenhouse gas emissions from the transport sector. And in our context, it has to be a multi-pronged approach. So we have to look at both incentives and disincentives. We also have to look at
World Water Day is observed globally to promote the importance of fresh water. In this light, the CWSA encourages Vincentians on mainland St. Vincent and in the Grenadines to ensure that they conserve and store water. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Representatives from across the Caribbean region earlier today continued discussions on how regional governments can use information and communication technology, ICT, to improve their services to citizens. The forum, which is hosted by the government of SVG in collaboration with the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, the CTU, focuses on the topic 21st Century Government, seeks to promote ICT development and usage for government services, not only here in SVG but the wider Caribbean region. Chairman of the CTU Executive Council, Anthony McMaster, shared information on the areas of focus during the week.
How we move forward towards 21st century government and bridging the gaps that currently exist between the various Caribbean countries. So far, we've had a day and a half of fruitful discussion where we've been able to receive updates from various Caribbean territories on where they are with their ICT infrastructure, their plans for ICT in the near future and in the longer term. We've also been able to discuss some of the infrastructure developments in terms of disaster resiliency. Through our planning sessions now and through the rest of this week, we'll be able to then go back and focus on how we rebuild a resilient ICT, not just for individual territories, but as a region, as we work together towards uniting the entire region as far as its ICT goes.
Acting Secretary General of the CTU, Nigel Casimir, outlined the importance of moving towards a 21st century government policy supported by ICT.
The 21st century government is one where the governments have grasped or seized on the use of the technologies to enhance the delivery of all the services governments offer, whether it's registration of births and deaths, passports, ID cards, or whatever you normally interface with the government for, paying taxes, all these sorts of things. That, to what extent have they been automated, made easy? Has the delivery been enhanced to the customers? So in a 21st century government, as it was read out at the beginning, it is citizen-centric. It means that it's not developed in a way that focuses on the government's internal operations, but it's developed in such a way that it focuses on how do we best deliver services to the public.
Director of this country's Information Technology Services Division within the Ministry of Economic Planning, Jacinta Fergus, deemed the week of events to be very timely as the participants were made more aware of ICT usage within the government services.
What we hope to see immediately from our Trust in 21st Century Government is to improve our services, ICT services to the public. And we have a number of items that we are currently working on in terms of building a government portal. We have just launched our ICT help desk this week, as a matter of fact, yesterday. If you go to our website, gov.vc, you would see that we are promoting a help desk where you can go, well, members of the public service can go directly to our help desk, and whatever problems they have, any issues they are facing, they would put the request in there, and we have a mechanism where we can have their address, their request addressed in a timely manner.
A UNESCO official has highlighted the importance of documentation in order to make information more accessible. This as participants today wrapped up a two-day information for all workshop here in SVG. Isabella Vera, who heads the Jamaica headquartered UNESCO cluster office, thanked the government of SVG for partnering with UNESCO on the program, which is part of a regional initiative to have information restored and available.
Almost all the OECS member states, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, British Virgin Islands, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and one neighbor country, St. Martin, specially invited on this occasion. We are gathered here to exchange, discuss, and strategize on critical topics in the areas of information and knowledge covered by the IFAP and UNESCO programs and through their national committees. Indeed, in today's rapidly changing world, we should take prompt action to ensure equitable participation in knowledge societies for all countries at the global level and for every individual.
SVG's Education Minister, St. Clair Jimmy Prince, highlighted the importance of securing information to make it available for use in a range of areas, including education and heritage.
Part of the mandate of the Ministry of Education, in which the National Commission resides, is to increase the awareness of the national landscape in all its dimensions. Hence, the documentation and the preservation of our heritage must be taken as an important step. This preservation contemplates the use of digital technology. While this within the National Public Library is at the forefront of using technology to preserve our heritage. We applaud the work of the committee led by Mr. Cordell Matthews and greatly assisted by Dr. Arnold Thomas in ensuring that St. Vincent and the Grenadines got its first submission on the UNESCO list as the Memories of the World list. That's the records of the Indian indentured laborers here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has condemned activities that result in the burning of natural vegetation on Pitcairn. Pitcairn is home to thousands of birds and for this reason was designated as a wildlife reserve. A statement issued today by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor said the unlawful practice of seasonally burning large areas of the landscape in order to provide greater access to the illegal harvesting of bird eggs will not be tolerated. The ministry is urging persons who are engaged in illegal activities on wildlife reserves to cease and desist, noting that a strategic monitoring process will be established to ensure full compliance. All systems will be engaged to ensure the increased enforcement of the Wildlife Act. The man who is accused of shooting 2 persons in a robbery at the Lotto booth at Heritage Square last Thursday was remanded to custody when he appeared in court on Monday. Senior Magistrate Rayshawn Brown ordered that 26-year-old Keshron Jackson, a resident of Rockies, be remanded until next Monday for possible bail reconsideration. A report in the Searchlight newspaper said that prosecutor Adolphus Delpesh, in objecting to bail for Jackson, informed the court that the 2 victims were still hospitalized with gunshot wounds. 3 days after his release from jail, Jackson is alleged to have shot security guard Errol Hinson and the Lotto booth's attendant Veron Williams as they prepared to deposit the day's takings. Jackson was nabbed at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he was taken for attention to a broken foot, apparently sustained in his bid to escape the police. Persons who contributed to the success and sustainability of the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union, the KCCU, came in for a commendation today as the institution celebrates its 60th anniversary. The KCCU also used the occasion to launch 2 new products. They are KCCU Protect and Diamond Wheels, which are designed to give more options to members.
Significant anniversaries are a time for reflection. We honor and respect the leaders and all contributors who came before, who set the foundation for KCCU's prosperity. We thank our members for displaying confidence by bringing more of their business to KCCU and for relying on us to help them reach their financial goals. We owe our continued success to the loyalty of our members, and we thank you for your support. We look forward to serving you with excellence for many years to come. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I extend sincere thanks to the various management committees for their commitment to duty. Remember, they are not being paid for this service.
President Cynthia Hope Brown said at this morning's ceremony that the KCCU has been playing its part in the development of this country and must remain relevant to its members.
Done this by focusing our strategy on sustainability, service, and growth through good governance practices, implementing sound up-to-date policies, the use of modern technology to deliver services and products, providing members education, upholding community responsibilities by supporting culture, sport, and youth education, compliance with regulatory and legislative requirements, Mr. Black, you would be pleased to hear this, and the development of people to create the future for sustainable success. KCCU has a proud history of success. However, the responsibility for us today is to continue building the leadership skills, living out our mission and vision, and to ensure we remain relevant to our members.
Giving remarks was the Minister of National Mobilization and the Minister responsible for cooperatives, Frederick Stevenson, who stated that the launch is a positive move for the institution and praised the KCCU for the contributions it continues to make in SVG.
Grants to students of our nation, to primary school, secondary schools, and to universities. All these are very important contributions to the further advancement of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I want to once again to wish the Kingston Credit Union all the very best as we celebrate these 60 years. I would be a part of many of the happenings once I have the strength so to do, and once I'm locally and at home, if no travel arrangements. But today's activity is a good one. It is the start of a lot of things positive for this credit union, and I want to wish the leadership ongoing of this credit union all the very best.
The Carnival Development Corporation's Beauty Shows Committee has said it is pleased to have 4 additional sponsors on board for the 2018 Miss SVG pageant. 3 of those sponsors, Massey Stores SVG Limited, the General Employees Cooperative Credit Union Limited, GECO, and the SVG Cocoa Company, Vincentian Chocolate, will each directly sponsor a delegate in the June 2nd pageant, while the 4th sponsor, Shenton Coffee Farms, is expected to help power the Miss SVG Empowerment Campaign. Speaking at a media launch of the 2018 pageant last Saturday, coordinator of the Beauty Shows Committee, Lafon Fraser, thanked all sponsors for their partnership. She further applauded Shenton Coffee Farms for seeking to advocate for the empowerment of the 7 delegates as they raise awareness of a number of social issues.
Miss SVG has taken up the responsibility of empowerment. It is something we take very seriously, it is very dear to us, and it adds meaning to an already important part of our Vincentian culture, which is pageantry, and I hope we never lose it. Shenton Coffee Farms SVG may not be known to a lot of people, but it's a big business with tremendous benefits for all Vincentians. The opportunities are endless, and we'd be happy to let you know more about Shenton Coffee Farms as the program leading up to Miss SVG 2018 continues. You will be hearing more about them. They came on board without hesitation, without hesitation. Apparently Shenton Coffee Farms already has their empowerment agenda established way before we even spoke with them. It's part of their mission, and so we couldn't have thought of a better partnership this year.